Hey, what up everyone? I'm Sinnycool, and this is Gems of War. Today I'm going to be going over the top 20 green troops in Gems of War. Why do you need to know the top 20 green troops in Gems of War? Because that's how the game works, and sometimes we're going to have restrictions where you need to use green troops, like Guild Wars, Tower of Doom, the Underworld. Different factions have different colors and stuff like that. Any event, sometimes it'll be a green restriction or whatever. So this will get you ahead of the game if you can, if there's however many green troops here, if you can narrow it down to a top 20 and you only have 20 to consider instead of like whatever, however many, 100, 200, whatever it is, then you'll be ahead of the game. So this is how the game works. You're going to have restrictions. You're going to need to know what the best green troops are. Guild Wars, Tower of Doom, Underworld, etc. So let's get started. I already recorded this once and my mic wasn't all the way plugged in. So I have honorable mentions, but I'm not even going to mention them. You guys put them in the comments. I think that'll be a better way to do it because I'm obviously going to have to leave off some good green troops. So put them down in the comments, any that I missed. And most likely they're on my honorable mentions list, though, if you put them down there. But yeah, let's go. What's number 20 out of the top 20 green troops? Let's start with number 20 here. This will just help you out quite a bit. I'm teaching you how to drink instead of forcing the water down your throat. You know what I mean? Alright, Greed is number 20. 10, purple, green, Cinemirage Daemon. Gain gold equal to my life. Gain 38 life. Gain an extra turn. Empowered, start battles with full mana. Omen of Stone, explode a brown gem at the start of battle. So, one of the best gold farming troops in the game. It's used in the double Ironhawk team for vault key farming. That's what I use anyway to get a little bit of extra gold. It's just as good as Sister Superior. I think it's better. Sister Superior might be a little bit faster, but Greed to get that little bit of extra gold, and it's just a smidgen slower, so might as well go for it. And then it's also used in the Skeleton Key team, an empowered troop that does a thing you need for gold type of teams. So Greed is my number 20. Alright, number 19. This one's good for early game. We've got Persistence, so anytime you have a certain color restriction or you're going up against a certain color, early in the game, you're going to want to think about your Guardian troops. It's a good way to go about restrictions early in the game and late in the game. So you got Finesse, Ferocity, Defiance, Persistence, Cunning, all of those. So if there's a certain color restriction, that's a good place to start maybe is your Guardians. So if you have a green restriction or you're going up against green enemies, Persistence is a good choice. 11 green, Guardian Wargear Construct deals damage to an enemy and a random enemy. If the enemy uses green mana, deal double damage. There's a 25% chance to devour a random enemy. It deals double skull damage versus green enemies. It has stone skin and gift of persistence. So you do 3 persistence with Lupine's Edge, I think is the weapon. You use construct class, so Geomancer, and now your whole team is getting 4 to all skills on all Wargear allies and matching 4 or more gems. And that Lupine's Edge will be the thing that gives you those 4 or more gem matches. So you can make your stats go really high, you can hit really hard, you hit green enemies really hard, and it's a good green troop if there's a green restriction. There's another obvious one that you might be using, but hey, it's a good thing to mention there. Alright, number 18. Ogress. Ogress, 11, green, brown, broken spire, giant, pull myself to the front and stun the first enemy, then explode 1 random gem boosted by my life. So it explodes a bunch of gems, it pulls itself to the front, it has a summon when it dies, it has a 50% skull reduction, it's one of the only bounty troops that is good outside of bounty, and yeah, if it's a green restriction, consider Ogress, especially if you're low level and you need a tank slash summoner slash mana generator. Ogress. Alright, what's number 17? I don't think you can make a top 20 green list without this one here, Egg Thief. It's like a super safe troop. Mana generator, gold, farming, summoner, green, 12 green, red, Dragon's Claw, human rogue. Destroy 18 random gems boosted by my gold. Gain 10 gold, summon dragon eggs. So if you can boost your gold up with like greed or something first, it'll destroy like the whole board. And then it has a 20% chance to dodge skull damage. It's stealthy, it's greedy, and it's just like you can't die. If you're using Egg Thief, you're not going to die. And you got a lot of mana generation and summons out the butt. So Egg Thief should be on the top 20 green troops. What is number 16? Alright, let's go. Number 16 is Marilith. Marilith, 12, red, green, Mist of Scales, Daemon Naga. Deal 6 true damage to all enemies. Destroy 40 gems, gain 6 attack. Gains bonus red mana from red gem matches. It's just really good, like green restriction, red restriction. If you're trying to mana generate quickly, it's a low mana cost. It hits all enemies with true damage. It gains attack. It destroys like a whole board's worth of gems. Like really, really good troop. Worth considering on a green or red restriction. What is number 15? Remember, put yours in the comments. I'm going to miss some. They're probably on my honorable mentions list, but I already recorded this once, and I don't want to record all of that again. And the video was really long with all the honorable mentions on it, so... And I kind of screwed up anyway. I mentioned a couple of them twice. So... Alright, here we go. The Wild King. The Wild King is number 15 for me. I don't use him very often. I always put it like this. The Wild Queen is Mang. The Wild King is Earth's Fury. The Wild Queen is better for green. The Wild King is better for yellow. The Wild Queen is more potent. The Wild King is still good, but it like spreads it out. So he spreads his cheeks. She does not. 22 green, blue, yellow, Pan's Veil, Wild Folk. Enrage all allies and give them 36 attack. Then create a mix of 22 skulls and yellow gems. Summon a Bone Storm at the start of battle. So definitely deserves to be on the list. But I think the Wild Queen definitely better. Girls rule, boys drool anyway, right? But yeah, if it's yellow, if it's a yellow type of deal, maybe go with the Wild King. If it's green, maybe go with the Wild Queen. If you want to be more potent and actually give the attack to the troop that needs the attack, then do the Wild Queen. If you want to do more of an Earth's Fury thing where you're spreading your cheeks to all troops on your team, then do the Wild King. But definitely deserves to be on here. I just don't use him very much. Number 14 is one of my favorite troops. So it had to be on here, and he's good anyway, so he deserves to be on here. Or she deserves to be on here. Sycorax, one of my favorites in the game. Green is one of my favorite colors because a couple of my favorite troops are in a green. We got 25 green, blue, brown, Blackhawk, Elemental Mystic. Double a chosen color gem on the board, then create 3 more gems of that color. Give 34 life to all allies of that color. It's impervious. It has regeneration. Yeah, I use it on 2 of my Guild Wars teams. I use it on Brown Day and Blue Day. Now that's weird. It's on a green list right now, but it uses green, so it's got to be on the list. You can get your whole team's life up to 999 with Sycorax. Another cool thing you can do with it is the Psycho Mega Missy team. So you're looping into itself, casting it on brown or blue or green or whatever. You got it in first slot. It's just looping and looping and looping and looping and giving your whole team life the whole time. It's never the enemy's turn. So if you got something like Megavore on your team that has an 8% chance to instant kill on every 4 or 5 gym match, you're just doing those over and over and over and over. Or maybe you got Mistralis on your team. You're doing that over and over and over. She's casting. She gets an extra turn. Back to Sycorax over and over and over. She casts. Again, extra turn. Back to Sycorax over and over and over. It's just really cool. I love Sycorax. One of my favorite troops in the game. Definitely deserves to be on this list. But I'm not going to put it at number 1 or anything. I'm not delusional. All right, number 13 is another one of my favorites. What did I do there? Great. A to Z and show all. Dummy. All right. So back-to-back favorites here for me. You probably know what it is, but Flaming Oni beats out Sycorax by a little bit because it's a borderline top 10 and Sycorax is not. 22 red, green, brown, Zaijin, Daemon Goblin. Summon 3 random goblins, then explode 40 green gems and gain an extra turn. You know, it has Summon a Firestorm at the start of battle. It converts 2 red gems to burning gems when my turn begins. It's just a really good troop. Flaming Oni. It's a goblin. Has an extra turn. Summons 3 random goblins. So if you put them on the end of your team, you're probably never going to die. It's kind of like Egg Thief. And then explodes a ton of green. So Flaming Oni, one of my favorites, and deserves to be on this list. What's number 12? Number 12 is underrated. Some people forget about this green troop, but I use it quite a bit when it's a green restriction. Because it hits really hard, it loops back into itself. Vanaxia, 16, purple, green, Mist of Scales, dragon. Probably one of the best dragons in the game. Create 9 green and 9 blue gems, then deal 35 true damage to all enemies. Poison a random enemy in 4 or 5 gym match. So yeah, if it's a green restriction, let's say it's a world event and it's a green restriction and you have a spell damage medal. True damage is way better than physical. True damage skips right by their armor. And then you're going to hit all enemies. And then you're going to make green and blue gems. It uses green. So, yeah. Really good troop. True damage to all enemies. Uses its own color that it makes. I like it. Vinoxia. Consider Vinoxia on a green or purple restriction. A lot of people forget about Vinoxia. Alright, number 11. Another kind of overlooked troop. Web Spinner. 16 green, blue, Zalkari Daemon. Deal damage to all enemies and poison them. Create 9 green gems. Here's the best part, though. It inflicts web when doing skull damage. And then it deals triple skull damage to poisoned and webbed enemies. So pretty much every single time it's going to deal triple skull damage. Because it's going to web them, and then it's going to do the triple skull damage to webbed enemies. The only things that can get away from this are enemies that are immune to webbing. So, and that doesn't happen very often. 90% of what you're going to face is going to be not immune to web. So Web Spinner is awesome. And on top of that, like that's the best thing it does, and if it only did that, it would still be awesome. It also deals damage to all enemies, poisons all enemies, and creates 9 green gems, and it uses green. So, really awesome troop. Web Spinner almost made the top 10. Very, very close. Another underrated, Vinoxia and Web Spinner. Just remember those two. Because not a lot of people are going to make teams around those. Vinoxia for spell damage, Web Spinner for skull damage, you know? Alright, here's the number 10. We're into the top 10 now. Yao Gui. One of the best legendaries in the game. I hesitate to say it's the best legendary because I have legendaries above it on this list, but it might be the best legendary. That's why when I make these lists, it's hard because it's hard to make a top 10 and do them in exact order from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 because things are used for different things in different situations. Like Yao Gui is a super potent, hard-hitting green troop, but there's other troops that are used more often for more things and are like safer, and so, it's hard to say, but I gave it number 10 on this list of the top 20 green troops in Gems of War. So we got 15 red-green Shintang Elf Daemon. Deal damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by my life. Steal 4 magic from both enemies. Transform all purple gems to red. It doesn't have too much here in the trait department, but it just hits so hard, and then it transforms purple to red. It uses red, so it's going to hit the first 2 enemies really hard, either kill them or almost kill them, and then it's going to transform purple to red. If you wait until you can convert purple to red and get an extra turn, it's probably going to get right back up, and you can just cast it again, and they definitely die. So Yao Gui can kill the first 2 enemies, without them getting a turn once it gets its mana up. It's really strong. One of the best legendaries in the game, Yao Gui. Definitely consider it when you have a green restriction, red restriction, or like a spell damage medal. Alright, number 9. What is number 9 on the top 20 green troops in Gems of War? Gotta go to the T's. This one's just a super solid mythic, so I had to put it on here for green. Tina 9000. 24 red, green, brown Adana mech. Deal 41 to 82 true damage to 3 random enemies and gain 82 armor. It has electrified plating, which adds 50% of armor to skull damage. It has reduced damage from spells by 50%. And it gains 2 armor on 4 or 5 gem match. So it's really tanky, and it does true damage to multiple enemies. It could hit the same enemy 2 or 3 times with that 82 and just destroy them. It can hit the same enemy twice with that and destroy them, and then hit another one really hard. It can gain a bunch of armor while it's doing that. Then it's gaining 2 armor on every 4 or 5 gem match. It's reducing any incoming spell damage by 50%. It's adding 50% of armor to skull damage. It just does tons of awesome stuff. It's a really good green troop. Definitely consider it if it's a green restriction. Tina 9000 was number 9. Number 8 of the top 20 green troops in Gems of War. This one definitely has to go on the list. The Lord of Slaughter. 27 green, blue, red, Wild Plains War Gare constructs. Create 6 brown gems, then convert all brown gems to Doom Skulls, then inflict 1 to 2 bleeds and 1 to 2 death marks on random enemies. 100% chance to ignore armor with skull damage. Summon a Doomstorm at the start of battle. Reduce damage from skulls by 25%. It's just doing so much. It's one of the best skull spammy troops in the game. Hits the hard. It does true skull damage. You're probably using it right now for the world event. Top 10 mythic has to be mentioned. It just does so much stuff. So much stuff here. And it has Savage Strike, which is amazing. So, had to be mentioned, the Lord of Slaughter. What's number 7? Number 7, top 20 green troop in Gems of War is Arachnian Weaver. 20 yellow, green, purple, Zalkari, elf monster, web all enemies. Deal true damage to the last 2 enemies. If an enemy dies, explode 15 gems. Then it has 3 really good traits too. Stealthy, can't target it with spell damage. Impervious, can't be devoured. Creeping Doom, 75% chance to summon a web spinner when an enemy dies. So if an enemy dies and you have a slot open, you can summon in one of the best green troops in the game, Web Spinner. And it'll be summoned into first slot most likely, and you'll do that triple skull damage. It's just awesome. Arachnian Weaver. Webs all enemies. That makes it so their magic is reduced big time. And then true damage is awesome, and it's hitting multiple enemies with true damage. And then if they die, it explodes almost the whole freaking board and gets its mana back. So Arachnian Weaver, one of the best green troops in the game. What's number 6? The 6th best green troop in the game. We have... This one you're going to use for quite a while. It's the hardest hitting AoE troop in the entire game. It has the world record for pet rescue, getting it done the fastest in like 2 minutes. 24 red, green, yellow. Suncrest Elemental Strix, we have Phoenicia. Deals damage to all enemies boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there is Firestorm, deal double damage. So yeah, you can hit really hard. I think it hits the hardest out of any troop in the entire game, AoE damage. And you're going to use it for quite a bit for like Pet Rescue, Adventure Board. Whenever you're leveling up a Fireblade, Firestorm class, you're going to be using Phoenicia. And she's really good for Delves too, like red, green, yellow Delves. She's really good for those as well. She can go up to like all rewards really quickly. She's really good with Magma Dragon on her team, too. Any kind of Firestorm, Fireblade class. Phoenicia was number 6. Number 5 of the top 20 green troops in Gems of War. This will help you narrow it down when there's a restriction. I'm teaching you to drink instead of forcing that water down your throat every time you're thirsty, you know? That's what we try to do on this channel. It's not all about the views. I'm trying to make y'all better Gems of War players. It's not all selfish to where I'm just doing what I need to do in the game. I don't need to do this right now. I just want to help y'all out. Alright, the Wild Queen is number 5. 22, purple, green, brown, Pan's Veil, elemental wildfolk. Steal up to 40 attack from an enemy and give it to my first ally. Guess who needs attack most of the time? Your first ally. Create a mix of 22 skulls and green gems. Summon a Bone Storm when an ally dies. I hope an ally doesn't die, so its traits aren't that great, but it's a really good PvP troop, a really good Guild Wars troop. If there's a skull damage medal, it's really good. If there's a green restriction, it's really good. If you're using a green team, it's really good. It's the Mang to the Wild King's Earth's Fury. It's more potent. It's giving more attack to your first ally instead of spreading its cheeks to all allies, you know? So your last ally does not need attack. Your first one does, and that's who she gives it to. So, Wild Queen, definitely awesome, and definitely one of the best green troops in the game at number 5. All right, number 4. You guys probably know what the top few are, huh? Put yours in the comments, though. What did I miss? Do I have it on my honorable mentions list? Maybe I should read them off real quick at the end. Nah, I'll just let you guys put them in. That'll be better, because then you'll think I didn't think about it, and you'll just put it in the comments. So, Queen Beatrix, one of the best green troops in the game. 16 green, blue, the Deep Hive, Drifting Sands, Wildfolk Mystic. Create 9 green and 9 brown gems, then deal 90 true scatter damage. There are independent 40% chances to gain an extra turn and half my mana back. Royal Honey, the best cleanse in the entire game. Just use this in blue. So Sycorax and Queen Beatrix went 5-0 yesterday in Guild Wars, in Bracket 3. Cleanse all allies and matching 4 or more gems. And that works no matter what. Like, it's awesome. So yeah, she does 9 green and 9 brown gems, uses green, so that's a chance at an extra turn. Does true damage to all enemies, that's awesome. She has a 40% chance to get an extra turn, that's awesome. 40% chance to gain half her mana back, that's awesome. She's just awesome. If she just had cleanse all allies and 4 or more gems, she would be awesome. But she has all of this too right here. That's just a whole page of awesomeness. So yeah, top 4, top green troop in the game, Queen Beatrix for sure. If anybody makes a top 20 and leaves off Queen Beatrix, they're smoking crack. King Gobtruffle is number 3. And there he is. There's his beautiful big nose right there. 18 green, blue, Amnithrax Asian Elemental Goblin. Deal damage to all enemies. Create a mix of 14 green and brown gems boosted by poisoned and diseased enemies. Gain an extra turn. The reason this is better than Queen Beatrix is because it's an automatic extra turn. It's an infinite loop. It's super safe. If you have a green restriction, King Gobtruffle. If you have a blue restriction, King Gobtruffle. You're going to get through it. It's a no-brainer. King Gobtruffle, green, one of the best green in the game, no-brainer. Extra turn every time it casts. While it's making green and brown, it uses green. It's going to get a lot of its mana back. It's doing damage to all enemies. You go with Forest Troll, King Gobtruffle, Doomglaive. You're not going to lose. You can go all the way up to 500 and delves with it if you're smart about it. It's really, really good. So that's my number 3. Number 2 of the best green troops in the game. You could probably guess the last 2. You could probably guess them, huh? Leprechaun. Anytime you have a green or purple restriction, you're probably going to use Leprechaun. It's got to be mentioned. It's got to be in the top 10. It's probably in the top 5. I put it at number 2 because it's always, always, always used. From the beginning of the game to the end of the game, anytime you can use it, you're going to use it. Ask anybody. If you're making a team and you need a mana generator, and you're able to use Leprechaun, you're probably using Leprechaun. No matter what else is available. Everything else can be available, and you'll still use Leprechaun. So, Leprechaun, 12, purple, green, Bright Forest Fae. Explode 16 green gems boosted by my gold and gain 20 gold. Empowered, start battles with full mana. Nature Link, bonus green mana from green gem matches. And greedy. So every single battle where he's on your team, he starts with full mana, and then you blow up the whole board, and there you go, super fast start. Like I said, if he's available, you're gonna put him on your team, so he has to make it onto this list. Number 1 is probably the most obvious ever. And once again, it's hard to do like 1 to 20 in order and stuff, because stuff is used for at different points in the game for different things. Some things are used from the beginning to the end. Some things are used for more things. Some things are more potent than other things, but they're not used for as many things. Like, it's hard to make an exact top 20, but I put Rowan at the number 1 slot. If you're thinking of green, a green restriction, if it's not like Guild Wars or anything, but everything else, if it's a green restriction, you're thinking Rowan, right? As soon as you hear it's a green or blue restriction, you're thinking Rowan. And if it's a green one, you're thinking Rowan and Leprechaun, right? So yeah, number 1 was Rowan. You can use it from the very beginning of the game all the way to the very end of the game. You just have to tweak what you're using it with, and it's awesome. So yeah, 12 green, blue, Forest of Thorns, Fae Elemental, deal scatter damage boosted by my armor. You just boost up her armor, she hits really hard, all enemies, wipes them out. So Shield of Erskaya, Golden Cog, whatever you got to boost her armor, do it, and she'll hit really hard. Pair it with like Leprechaun or the Miraji Queen or, you know, something like that, and she'll just crush from the beginning to the end of the game. Like on my new account, I only use Rowan team for everything. You're going to do that. Like, if it's a green or blue restriction, you're going to use Rowan, except for maybe Guild Wars. Everything else, adventure board, if you're farming class experience, if you're farming vault keys, if you're doing anything in difficulty 1 Explorer, if you're doing whatever. If it's a green or blue restriction, you just put it with Golden Cog. If you're doing a City of Thieves 3 times a day, Rowan. Rowan, 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 Rowan. If it's green or blue, you're thinking Rowan. So that's number 1. Really awesome troop. One of the best troops in the entire game. If you're not using Rowan, you're tripping. Tripping balls. But yeah, that's my top 20. Green troops and Gems of War. Just to go over it one more time, Rowan was number 1. Leprechaun was number 2. King Gobtruffle was number 3. Queen Beatrix was number 4. The Wild Queen was number 5. Phoenicia was number 6. Arachnian Weaver was number 7. Number 8 was the Lord of Slaughter. Tina 9000 was number 9. Yao Gui was number 10. Web Spinner was number 11. Venoxia was number 12. Flaming Oni was number 13. Sycorax was number 14. Number 15 was the Wild King. 16 was Marilith. 17 was Egg Thief. 18 was Ogress. 19 was Persistence. And 20 was Greed. So put yours in the comments. Like I said, this isn't exactly in 1 to 20 order. Like, it, even just reading it like that kind of felt weird. Like, why did I put, like, Phoenicia ahead of, like, whatever I said? You know what I mean? Like, Arachnian Weaver. I don't know. I put a Phoenicia ahead of Arachnian Weaver, but if I did a top 10 Mythic, I'd probably put Arachnian Weaver ahead of Phoenicia. Blah, blah, blah. Yao Gui. Should Yao Gui be ahead of King Gobtruffle? Like, I don't know. If I did a top 10 Legendary, would I put Yao Gui ahead of King Gobtruffle? You just can't. You got to do it on a case-by-case basis. There's different factors involved. You can never make a, in a vacuum top 20 or top 10 because there's so many factors and so many different points of the game that somebody might be in. And what are you saying, like how much it's used for, how safe it is, how potent it is, or you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to make a top 20. So don't judge it too harshly, but let me know what your top 20 is, or your top 10, or your top 5 green troops. Let me know which troops I missed. What do you think was on my honorable mentions list? Put it all in the comments. Also, subscribe. Half of y'all watching right now aren't subscribed. We're trying to get to 6666, 2/3 to 10K. We only need like 20 more people, so if you're listening right now and you made it this far and you're not subscribed, why wouldn't you subscribe? I'm going to make more videos like this. You watched all the way to the end. Why are you not subscribed? Please hit that button. It's free. Like, share, subscribe. Consider joining. Helps a lot. Tell your good about the channel. Comment below. And I'll see y'all next time. I do this for all the colors. Like, I feel like this helps you. Like, you're going to figure this out. Gems of War is about restrictions. It's about colors. And if there's a green or blue restriction, if you know, like, the top 20 green or the top 20 blue, you're ahead of the game. You don't have to think about every single green troop. You can narrow it down to 20 and then pick from those. So I feel like I'm helping some people out there. This isn't just for views. This is not for me at all. I already know this information. Like, I'm trying to help. So I hope it helps somebody. Let me know in the comments. Peace out.